I'm going to talk about a storyline now that's important to me, but the story starts up at Narran Lake, and it's about a little duck called Gaga, and she disobeyed her old people and what she was taught about life and about herself and everything like that. So little Gaga, one day she was out on the lake, and she was swimming down in the river systems and with her little mates and the other ducks in her mob, and she got captured by this water rat called Bigoon, and he kept her up one of the little creeks, up one of the little contributory creeks for a whole season, and then she's gone back out to the lake, and then everybody has gone and like had their young, and when she had her young, like at first she was too scared to bring them out to show everybody, and everyone's saying, "Come on, Gaga, bring your babies out, give us a look at them." And when she did, she brought them out, and all the old people looked at them and sort of went, "Oh, you know, you've done the wrong thing here. You can't stay here. Your babies are going to bring us bad luck, like, and you know, bad things will happen to our people if you stay here with those babies." So her old people outcasted her and told her she had to leave. So she had to leave her life up there at the lake. And she was really upset about that, you know, as you would be, because she's, you know, been banished from a mob because she disrespected the values of the old people. So she's come down through the river systems, all from the lake, swum all down through there, and she was getting tired and weak, and she could notice the water changing because all the water up in the lake was all nice and warm and a really nice spot for her to be, and that's where she was used to living. But as she's come further south, down through the river systems, she was finding that the water was changing. It was getting colder, and it was harder for her to survive in. And she'd come all the way down, like down past the Warrumbungles, and she looked over at the Castle Ray, and like that was no good to her because she was trying to find somewhere to live with her babies where she could live and be safe and keep them safe. So she's come all the way down through the marshes, Macquarie marshes, and then made it through there, and it was still not a good spot for her to stay with them babies, you know, so she had to keep coming all the way up, and she come up to the Warrnambool, which is Macquarie River, where the watershed is, and she gets to a little place up there called Flat Rock, and Gaga found that the water was just way too cold for her. She was getting weaker and tireder and colder because the water was cold, and it was totally different to the lake up at Narran Lake where she'd just swum all them miles from. But her babies, they were thriving in the waterhole where she was. And it got to the point where she actually died down there in that waterhole. She's come down here, but the water system's down here being so cold, and she died. But them babies, they thrived in them waters because they had fur off the rat, see? And then, you know, the web feet, the 4 web feet, like a duck, but 4 instead of 2. And then they had a bill. And that's a creation story of a Biladurang, what we call platypus. So that's how we get Biladurangs in our river systems over here, and why that's important to maintain that storyline and maintain the environment around the river systems here, and what happens to the river systems here impacts on that storyline and that little animal of part of that storyline. So wherever we got the Biladurang swimming around here, we always think about Gaga and where she originally did come from, and the connection of the watershed from, you know, the rivers on the line here where she dies, you're on the watershed, and everything flows that way, goes west, and everything this way goes east. And that's why it's important, them little fellas there, they've survived that, and they're a part of all these river systems now that come east in the cold water.